Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
And I'm Cathrine,
My co-host. Yeah, we did it. It only took us 41.
Yeah.
This is episode number 41.
Yeah, rolling along.
Yeah, and if you listen to the first 40 episodes, you'll hear Cathrine and I stumbling over who she is. And we finally got a name for her other than my best friend. She's the co-host.
Uh-huh.
Well, greetings, co-host. And it's nice to be in the pod lab.
You might as well say nanu nanu.
Might as well. We're excited today because this is our second time or third time or something like that recording in the pod lab. New pod lab.
Yeah,
which
second
is,
or third.
It's awesome. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
I know. What's going to happen if Caleb moves back in?
Can't.
My fifth son moved out. Five, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one moved out about a month ago. He's doing well. He's got a full-time job, and he's going to school.
Full time?
Well, he's doing school online, and so it's 3 classes,
Yeah, okay.
so it's like 12 hours. I don't know what they consider full-time, but I kind of encouraged him to don't go crazy, like just adjust.
Yeah.
You got to train. He's doing training with his job. But now we're in, this place used to be a pigsty. It really was. You would open the door and just a waft of maleness would come out and greet you. And, my hair would stand up and I'd be like, oh, close the door.
Which it was closed most of the time.
Yes. But now it's been freshly painted. Thank you, Muffin, my husband. He painted it. Ceiling first. He's got to do it just right.
That's Kenny too.
It's a process. So he painted everything. So it's got a nice fresh paint. He's got brand new blinds up on the windows. And I got a vintage desk.
A physician's desk?
Yes, it was owned by a doctor at one point. Very smart person, I'm sure. And our friend...
Tracy rubs it.
I do. I'm like, please rub off on me. Our good friend Lindy, and friend from our church and also at the gym, she gave it to me. So that was a lovely gift. And then we have the pod little corner here. Yeah. Our table and all of our equipment and our map of the world. So it's exciting.
Map and picture of you and your mom.
Yeah, we added
graduation.
that.
It's very nice.
Yeah. I know that our listeners can't see. That's why we're trying to give you a visual. Right. But we added this big picture of me and my mom from graduation day from Illinois State University. So anyway, well, let's jump in to the topic of the day, which is birth. We, if you're brand new to us, we are glad you're here. And what we do is we take a topic every week. We do our best to research the topic. We do spend.
We really do.
We do. Cathrine spends a lot of time researching.
And sometimes, like today, I'm like, I got nothing. What's our outline? What's it going to be? I mean,
well, birth. There's a lot to say about birth.
Yeah. Well, right.
And you went down a lot of rabbit trails, you said.
I did. I went into the whole thing of conception, and I even was looking into Call the Midwife, because I think that's what initially prompted this episode. Yeah. So I was reading about that.
Well, it's a big topic. And so what we do is we do our best to bring a topic to the table that we think you'd be interested in. And today it's birth. And we're not experts, and you'll be able to tell right away. But we just, and then we try to deliver the information in an entertaining way.
I think if we were experts, it'd be boring. Snoozeville anyway.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just give it in layman's terms.
Right.
It hurts.
That's what I was thinking too, like, ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after we give you the information of the topic of the day, we always end each podcast with a little bit of spiritual encouragement. Yeah. So we do have some scripture to share and just a little bit of encouragement to, look at Jesus. He's got it all.
Right.
All right, so a couple takeaways from our outline before we jump in. These are the 3 things that we're hoping to leave our audience with. Number 1, how things have changed over the last 30 years in the area of birth.
Thank God they have.
Yes. So that's number 1. Number 2, our experiences. Not all of them, because that'd be all day, but just the highlights. And then number 3, the miracle. What a miracle it is. So those are the 3 things: changes over the last 30 years, our experiences, and the miracle of birth. And we do have a call to action at the end of the episode, so we're going to get to that. So stay tuned. And this podcast is sponsored by
Muffin and Pooh,
our husbands.
Ron and Kenny.
Yes, thank you for that to them. So, and sponsorship opportunities will be coming available ASAP.
Yeah,
we
get ready.
Get ready, because we're going to ask you for some money. All right. Well, let's dive into how things have changed over the last 30 years, because that's a long time.
True.
I have one website that I found is on stacker.com, and the title of the article is 30 Ways Having a Baby Has Changed Over the Last 50 Years. I don't think that it's important to go over all 30 things.
Right.
But there are some things that stand out to me. One is that in vitro fertilization was not a thing back, all those years ago. Now, many couples can have babies. Wait, that's a miracle right there.
That is. Right. Thankfully, we've advanced in technology so that, couples that are really desiring to have their own baby can do that.
Absolutely.
Or, I guess, even if they're not a couple, even if an individual
wants to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it does take two to make a baby.
Right. But in vitro?
Well, somebody's got to donate the stuff.
They do, but they don't necessarily have to be a couple.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh. Somehow they got to get it.
It could be the street sweeper. I don't know.
It's the UPS man. Uh-oh. Okay. Here's another one that I think is very, very important, and that is more women get epidurals. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Delivery time has increased. You would think that it would decrease.
Yeah.
Like I would think that the length of time to have a baby, it would be better if it was less. Because, ouch, ouch, ouch. So it makes it less of that.
Yeah.
But it's actually because of the epidural, it slows things down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
Could also be that the doctors were lying to the women way back when they were in the twilight zone, saying, "Yeah, it was over. You just took a couple hours."
Right, you were good.
Liar.
Wait until just hang in there with us till you find out about the twilight sleep myth and.
Well, the audacity of it.
Yes,
is very.
We're both just
barbaric.
Accosted by that. Mm-hmm. Okay, another one is there are more births that happen via C-section now, quite a bit more. But, I think in some regards that's probably better, because I honestly don't think that C-section would be the preference for doctor or mom. I don't think mom would be like, yeah, just do a C-section.
Right. For one thing, it's the natural things that occur for the baby as the baby is born that doesn't necessarily happen. They're in danger a little bit more in terms of respiratory situations. And then also the mother, the recovery is
Yeah. I feel bad for moms who, when they have their first baby, this happened to one of my cousins. She had her first baby, and they were, they didn't know how it was going to be or whatever. You don't know exactly how big the baby's head is going to be. You don't know exactly how big the space is for mom, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes that puzzle doesn't work out, and baby's stuck in there. And it's like you're going to have a cone head baby. Anyway, so I feel bad for moms who have to labor and then they end up with a C anyway.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So hang in there, mamas. Okay, new moms stay in the hospital for less time than they used to.
Thanks to insurance.
Yeah. Pregnancy tests are now widely available, so you can find out that you're pregnant way sooner than maybe you would have before. Ovulation can be detected at home. Never used to be able to do that.
Oh, interesting.
A lot of women today are delaying motherhood. That's a change where, back in the day. And I think probably because birth control methods are better and easier for for women. They can put it off.
Yeah. I'm thinking that's another reason why labor lasts longer. They're older.
No.
They're not as fit.
It could be. That could be. It says here that more moms are having children over 40. So waiting. Yeah, right. Catherine and I are in our 50s. I'm 55 and she's 53. I always forget how old you are.
That's okay.
All right.
Doesn't
She's
matter.
younger than me. People think I'm her mother and she thinks that's hilarious. I don't know, whatever. The infant mortality rates have gone down, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, that would be so sad to have your baby die just trying to be born. More moms are breastfeeding, which we talked about this before we came on the podcast. I thought that years ago it would be common to breastfeed. I mean, to me, when I was pregnant with my first child in 1990, the reason I breastfed, this is the truth, and you know me well enough to know that this is the way I would do it. It was easier. It was easier to get up in the middle of the night and just breastfeed rather than go to the kitchen, get out the stuff and heat it up.
Yeah. Not to mention cheaper. I saw a little thing of formula not long ago in the grocery store. I just happened to, pass by. And it was like $30 or something crazy for a can.
Yeah. And I get it that sometimes you can't.
Oh, right.
Because you have whatever going on.
Right.
But, just a little side note about breastfeeding. If we do happen to have any moms that are, going to have a baby and they want to breastfeed, there's so much support for breastfeeding moms out there. And this was the case when I was breastfeeding too. The La Leche. They're kind of like a breastfeeding cult. Like they are really into it. And if you really want to breastfeed and you call those people, they're going to give you all the options of how you can keep doing it. They might have liked you to do it until your child goes to kindergarten. I don't know. But there's some challenges with breastfeeding. You would think, oh, it's easy. Could just, comes natural and you just do it. But you can have clogged ducts. You can have infection in the breast milk.
I think delays after birth, too, are a problem. The reason I say that is after I had Emily, I couldn't breastfeed her right away because she was in the NIC unit. I couldn't even hold her. So, and she was in a little incubator thing. And so I think 2 weeks had gone by and I wasn't able to
get her going.
Right.
So then your milk gets confused. It doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, and I tried to pump in between to keep it going, but I was extremely stressed because it was a life and death situation for her. And anyway, so that was not easy. I wish I had one of those nurses or team members.
The leche thing?
Yes.
Yeah, to help you get through it. Because they probably would have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Disposable diapers have become mainstream. So that's a change. It really is making caring for an infant way easier, in my view.
It's all about ease.
It is. When I had the first baby, like I said, in 1990, someone gave me a diaper service for a month.
Oh.
Of the cloth diapers.
In 1990?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And I thought, oh, this is great. But it wasn't great.
Well, the crazy thing is, though, I think that more young people now are going back to the cloth diaper thing because they're all, they're concerned
Natural.
about being green. Yeah.
Could be. All I remember is being exhausted in the middle of the night and my baby was screaming because he was sitting in a wet diaper. But when I put a Pampers on him, he stayed asleep. So that was the end of that. It says here that fertility drugs are leading to more multiple births, so we have more of that because of it.
Yeah.
Midwives are becoming more popular.
Again.
Which is cool. More dads are taking paternity leave, which I think is very cool. Gene editing is almost here. I don't even know what that is.
I was just going to say,
what
what's
is
that?
Gene editing? Okay.
You edit out the bad stuff?
I don't know. Let me read this. It says CRISPR, looks like CRISPR, a molecular tool that scientists can use to cut sequences from DNA. American scientists have edited human embryos. That doesn't sound right.
No.
But the technology hasn't gone mainstream. A Chinese scientist faced ethical questions after he edited the genes of twin girls while they were embryos, which he said was to protect them from contracting HIV. I don't believe that for a minute. I don't know about the gene editing thing.
It doesn't.
Stay away from that, listeners.
Yeah.
Just tell them, stay away with your editing. Leave it to the Lord.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Fetal ultrasounds are the norm. I remember the ultrasounds being very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Parents can monitor their babies at home. No more twilight sleep. We're going to talk about that.
Oh, my goodness.
Eggs can be donated. So while you can have sperm donors, you can also have egg donors. So that leads to more, stuff. Male infertility taken into account. So if you're, not able to have a baby, that's taken into account. Sperm clinics are widespread. Yay. Okay. Fathers can witness their baby's birth.
Yes, because they used to be sent out of the room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Ron was in the room with me when we had all 5 of the kids, but he never really wanted to be on that other side, like on the look-see side.
Oh,
he did not want to.
We didn't have this conversation till just that. Oh, okay. Kenny was like, "Let me at it."
He was in there like a catcher with his mitt, like I want to get it. No, Ron was more at my head. You know what I mean, and letting the doctor do his thing down there.
Yeah.
But we also had very big babies, so I don't know.
It's a little graphic.
It probably looked like an alien was coming out. And I was, me, Cathrine, I'm a little dramatic when it comes to pain.
No.
Oh, yeah. My pain tolerance is -0, -1.
Right.
I don't have a pain tolerance. Yeah. I was screaming with the first one, and the nurse was like, "We don't scream." And I'm like, "I do."
Oh, I love it. Yeah. We don't. We?
Who's
we? Are you having this too?
She said it. I remember it.
Oh, my goodness.
We
that
don't
would have
scream.
really ticked me off.
Well, what am I going to do? Thank God the baby was okay. Okay, and then finally, this is the final. I didn't read all 30 of them. I just kind of glossed over some of them. But the final one says, raising a child is more expensive. Well, duh. No kidding. Yeah. All right. Well, what do you have over there? Because I know you have an article, too, about how things have changed.
It's mostly focusing on one particular era, which is mostly in the 40s. And this is from Timeline. Restraints, hallucinations, and forgotten pain were the norm on mid-century maternity wards. There was an expose about cruelty in the maternity wards. And the cruelty was from this medication, which they made a nice name for it, called twilight.
Twilight sleep is what they called it.
That's what it was.
Which we think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Give me some of that twilight
that sounds
sleep.
Like sign me up. It sounds soft and gentle. And But these women would, once they had the shot, they would thrash around. They hallucinated. And they had no recollection whatsoever once they had the baby. So the nurse, and they were abandoned.
Yeah.
So, and restrained. They had restraints on. So they were pretty much just left to have the baby. And then the doctor would come in with forceps and just pull the baby out. But the poor woman, she would be thrashing around because of hallucinating. And then that's why she was.
Well, okay. So here she is in labor, ready to give birth. And they give her this drug. So she's strapped to this special table. And we read that the table actually was designed differently because typically the women would fall off the table.
Yeah.
Because they were bouncing around so much.
Yeah.
So they made it like a little canoe or something like that, like a little bowl. Anyway, so she's giving birth and her body is like detached from her mind. So she's not able to breathe. She's not able to focus. She's not able to reposition so that it can be better for baby,
Yeah.
She can't push and bear down when she's supposed to. There's no timing there. There's no, it's just her body doing what her body does to expel this baby.
Yeah.
And the doctor going in there with forceps and yanking the kid out.
Right.
So think about how many babies were damaged as a result with the forceps injuries and such.
Not to mention the drugs that they were affected by. These were heavy. I didn't realize they were opioids.
Yeah, heavy drugs.
Yeah.
And they would cross the barrier to the baby. And then that's how we read that's how they started lifting up the babies by the ankles and giving them a whack on their bottom because babies were born all drugged up.
Yeah.
And I
They needed
remember
a kickstart.
I remember my grandma Rose, who she had my mom in 1941, and then she had my uncle either the next year or the year after that, so early 40s. And I remember her saying back then they just would basically knock you out. And I was picturing as a child them hitting her on the head with a bat. I was like, oh, how cruel. They would just whack you in the head.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
In a first world country. Whack.
Well, Muhammad Ali was popular, and I imagined a knockout being a violent punch to the head.
Yeah.
But she said they would just knock you out, and then, a few hours later, you're holding your baby. Well, now I know that what they did was strap her arms and legs and forced her body to violently have this thing.
Yeah. We know that the baby, by nature taking its course, the baby does its part by, going through. It's a miracle, which we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But the baby gets into position and does a lot of the work. But the mama, she's doing some of the work when she's conscious and awake.
Yeah. And this procedure, this twilight sleep method of managing pain during childbirth was developed in I think it was 1914 or 1915, somewhere in that space. And it was in Germany.
Right.
So it was happening in Germany. And then American women got wind of it. And they're like, we want some of that twilight sleep.
Well, I probably would have been too.
I would have too. I would, especially if you'd had one baby like the old fashioned way. And you're like, oh.
Or just, seeing birth, experiencing, by seeing somebody else give birth or hearing stories. Yeah. I think anybody would have been twilight sleep. Yes.
Right. Well, and especially because prior to 1914, most births were at home. So, when you're a little kid and you hear the screams and you see the blood, aren't you thinking, that's not good?
Yeah.
Okay. So the American women protested. We want some of that twilight sleep. And only wealthy women at the beginning could go over to Germany to get, their hands on the stuff or whatever. And then pretty soon the demand was so great that American doctors were going over to Germany to become trained on that method, and they brought it back to the U.S. And so then it was commonly used in the U.S. from mid 1900s or, mid 1915 or whatever, all the way up through the 70s.
Yeah, which is hard to believe.
It is hard to believe.
Yeah. But so my mom had always told me, I was born in 1969, and my mom had always told me that, everybody was so cold, meaning how they treated you.
Yeah.
And so she had said that they gave her Sedate, and she didn't remember anything, and that after I was born, that they basically just left her naked, laying on the bed, just, barely came in to check on her, and that was her experience.
If there's anybody listening who had a baby in the 60s or the 70s, and you can tell us what your experience was like, please let us know, because I'm curious. I can't ask my mom because she passed away a long time ago. I guess I could ask my aunt, who is my mom's sister-in-law, what was it like for you? I'm going to ask her.
I could ask my mother-in-law too.
Yeah, let's find out, and then let's follow up. We always say we're going to do these follow-up things, and then we forget. But I'm curious. I'd like to know, what was it like? So, okay, anything else about twilight sleep? Because that was interesting.
No, not really.
All right, well, let's transition into our own experiences. And since we just finished talking about twilight sleep, I will share that when I first had my first two babies, so I've had 5 of them, the first 2 I had no painkiller.
Oh, God,
it was terrible.
I can't imagine you, of all people.
No. Maybe that's why I'm like I am, Cathrine.
No.
Okay, I was always like this.
Yeah.
It was 1990 when I had my first one. And at that time, our insurance did not cover epidurals. Epidurals were around, but our insurance didn't cover it. So that meant if you wanted it, you had to pay. Well, we didn't have the money because it was like $1,000 or something crazy like that. And we were just trying to put 2 things, rub 2 nickels together and whatever, be alive.
Wow.
So we didn't have the money. So I said, okay, I can do this. Women have been doing this forever. I can do it. And I don't remember being scared or anything like that.
Really?
Well, I didn't know.
Wow.
I honestly didn't know. And I was reading the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting.
Yeah.
I was reading along. And I don't know if I was just lulled by the whole experience of it, whatever. But that was when I started the screaming, and the nurse was like, "We don't scream," and I'm like, "Oh, what do I do then?"
We do.
And we had done the Lamaze class. Did you guys do that?
Yeah, we did.
Lamaze. I don't even know if they still do it.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be all about focus, and you have an object that doesn't move on the wall, and you focus on that, and you control your breathing. Well, that all went out the window pretty early on in the labor situation. The other thing, here's a tip: if you're listening and you're expecting, or you're going to expect someday to be expecting, make sure that your husband does not eat a euro before you go into birth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've got something similar to that.
Because that's what Ron did. He went and ate a big, giant, garlicky euro. And then he was trying to help me breathe, and he's blowing that euro smell into my face. And I wanted to shoot him. I just wanted him to get away from me. And so then the second baby came the very next year. Like, I got pregnant. My kids are 14 months apart, so that was another thing. You can get pregnant when you're breastfeeding. Note to self. Well, for that one, we still had the same insurance. So I was like, I don't care. You sell the car. You sell the other car. Sell everything you have. Get the money.
Yeah.
Because I am not going through that again. So Ron did the stuff, and he got the money, and he gave it to the doctor. That baby came too soon. That baby came so soon, so fast and furious.
No.
I got there, and I was like, "But you got my money. Give me the shot." So I had 2 with no epidural. Yeah. The other 3, I did have epidurals with all the other 3 because I refused to have them. I said, I'm not having this baby without an epidural. Yeah.
Did you have your water break?
No, my water never broke. They broke my water physically when I was there. Yeah.
Interesting.
And one of my pregnancies, that was Adam, the 4th one, he was induced because the doctor scared the beast out of me. The doctor told me, you're going to have a 12-pound baby. And I had already had a 9.5-pound baby.
Oh, my goodness.
So my 3rd baby was 9.5 pounds, and we both saw Jesus. I thought I was going to die when he was born because his head was so ginormous. That was Joel.
Yeah.
So the 4th.
And you had them all vaginally.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I did have an epidural for Joel, or I think I'd be dead. But then when Adam came along, the doctor told me, your baby is going to be 12 pounds. And probably will break his shoulders coming through. Do you know? I was like, oh my gosh. So he said, we have to induce. And I was like, okay, sign me up.
Yeah.
I go to the place, we get induced, and it's 8 hours of that fake labor.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, the Pitocin.
Yes.
They give you this stuff,
too.
and it hurts so bad.
Oh.
And after 8 hours, the doctor says, well, you're not making any progress. We'll just shut it off. And then you can go to sleep, and we'll start you up again in the morning. That's exactly what I was like. What? I said, I'm committed here. I don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
But break the water and let's get this baby out. I've been at this for 8 hours. And actually the nurse, she said to me when the doctor left the room, she said, your baby's fine and you're fine. You don't have to do this. Wow. You could just go home. It's up to you. And I said, that's such a good idea. I'm going home. So I went home and 3 days later came back, and it was easy peasy birth. And that was Adam. He was like, I'm not ready.
And how many pounds was he?
He was 9 pounds, 3 ounces. So way
12.
less than 12.
Jeez.
I mean, still a big baby.
Yeah, but that's 3 pounds less.
And the birth was very, I wouldn't call it easy, but it was uneventful. And I got an epidural, and it was like 3 hours, and he was born, and everything was fine. He was fine. I was fine. There was no need for what the doctor was saying. Yeah.
Very good.
And then the 5th one was just, who knows? He probably just walked out.
Yeah.
I coughed. I went, and he came out.
Yeah, you wish.
I do wish.
Yeah.
What about you, Cathrine?
Well, with my first one, I was certain that I wanted an epidural.
Yeah.
And I did get it. But the problem was it had wore off. I, too, had that same similar experience. I went into labor at work, and they said, well, just go straight, or my doctor said, go straight to the hospital. So we did, and I had dilated, but then it just stopped. So at some point, I was given the epidural, but then it wore off, basically.
Why couldn't they just give you more juice? Why couldn't they just give you more epidural stuff?
I don't remember the reason, but it would have been bad for my spine or something.
Okay.
Something like that. Anyway, so I basically delivered without it. And I remember, I had back labor. And I just wanted my back to be chopped off or something. I had vomited. And funny, too, that you mentioned the Euro thing. My dad actually came. My family, it was in the room. My dad,
Can't
my
say
mom.
no, Cathrine.
I know. My dad came with Long John Silver with fish.
Oh, boy.
And it was making me sick. And I didn't have the heart to say leave, you know. And Kenny was busy just, by my side. And Kenny, he was a pipe fitter at the time. And he was working at one of the refineries. And there's a thing called coke dust, which is like this black soot that smells. He had it all over him. And the doctor or somebody did tell him, go change. And they gave him
a gown or something.
Yeah.
Scrubs.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So just a quick side note to any moms or future moms listening. You don't have to have the whole team at the game.
Yeah.
And you can, well, I think that they're doing more of that now anyway, like scheduling their birth plan, like they have a plan, like this is what we're going to do. But just to empower women more so, whatever you think that what will really support you in your time of need, feel free to express that in love. You don't want to hurt people.
Right. Yeah, that definitely,
Right?
it would have been less stressful. But I think I would have been stressed telling them to leave too.
Well, I mean, ahead of time. I mean, so obviously we can't go back and change things, but if somebody's expecting and they really think that they'd rather have it just be just them and their husband, they can just express to the family, we're going to celebrate with you once baby is here. So, I mean, I know that people it's all over the spectrum of what people want. Grandparents have this expectation and the kids have this expectation, but it really, when it comes down to it, Mom, you the star of the show. So what you want is really what you can express that. Yeah. In love. In love.
Yeah. But I had the, what's it called? To get it going.
Oh, you were induced Pitocin?
Yes, Pitocin. I almost said placenta. That's not it.
Also known as Satan.
Yes, that was awful.
Hurts. Yeah, it hurts a lot.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, because they come fast.
And furious.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, with our second one, that went smoother. My water broke. Yay. So I knew, okay, yeah, we definitely have to go. And it was funny because we were at Kenny's mom's house. And Kenny was eating and my water broke. And he's like, well, let me just finish eating. And then he showered. And then we left. But thankfully, that labor wasn't so bad. With Patrick, the first one, it was just awful and long. And I actually heard 8 with Patrick, 8 other babies being born in the rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was torturous. Anyway, but Emily came out completely purple. And the looks on everyone's faces, because it was also a teaching hospital, so there were students, and that also was my experience with the first one, too. They were everywhere.
Who else wants to check
Mrs.
my goodness. Shipman?
Yeah, it was
Doesn't it feel like when they're checking you, to me, it felt like they were getting their whole arm in there.
Yeah, it did.
They're not, but it feels that way.
Yeah. Well, and in the end, I was like, go ahead, get it out. It was actually a relief later on. Yeah. Anyway, but with Emily, and I thought, why is everybody silent? What's wrong? And I looked at her. She was purple and not making any sound. So she had a heart defect, a birth defect. And it was, it took hours before they figured out what was wrong and before they said anything to me. But anyway, she was swept off to the NIC unit, and she had a thing called transposition. So her aorta and pulmonary artery were crisscrossed, which is like so crazy because I couldn't understand, well, how is she able to breathe and live in the womb and not now? And then, of course, they explained that whole miracle, and they did things to get her ready for a surgery, which was, open heart surgery.
Wow.
A week later. Very scary. I was scared to death.
Yeah.
I was scared to death.
And you might want to mention how young your first child was. So you were, your children were also back to back.
Back to back. Yeah. They
how
were
many
only
months?
15 months apart.
So here's Cathrine and Kenny, new parents to Patrick. And here's Emily right there on the heels of that.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of building a home. So they've got the stress of that. And now they have layered on top of that the additional pressure of now their newborn baby is going to have open heart surgery.
Yeah. And at the time we were living in my parents' basement. So there were many layers.
Yeah.
Many layers. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Right. And I hadn't seen Patrick for 2 weeks, other than when my sister and my family would bring him up to see me, but it wasn't the same. He was still a baby. So,
but the good news
is her heart was corrected. And it was, I always say that her second birthday was, the week later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the procedure that she had was quite new, and
it was
a life-saving procedure where other babies born with that condition maybe didn't make it.
Yeah, the doctor that did the operation on her, he pioneered the surgery. And she had just missed the cutoff for the studies that they were doing to see how,
to follow them.
Yeah, through adulthood.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's okay. So praise the Lord. And then you had Ellis.
Then Ellis.
Here comes Ellis.
Yeah, and that, I don't really remember that.
Right.
Poor Ellis. It was painful, but...
Nobody pays attention to me.
I don't. I don't really. I can remember what was on TV when Emily was being born.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And with Ellis, it just don't. But here's the thing that's really funny, though. So when my family brought Patrick and Emily up to see their new baby sister, Emily she's like, oh, she's all excited. She comes bouncing in.
Wait. How old was Emily at the time?
Emily was 2.
3. Okay, so 3 and 4 are your 2 kids. They're going to see newborn baby sister.
Yes.
Okay.
And so Emily comes through the door, and she looks excited to see the baby. She crawls up on me, on the bed. And then she looks down, because I'm holding Ellis in my arms, and she looks down at her, and she's like, yeah. She looked horrified.
Really?
Like, obviously, she hadn't been prepped of what a newborn baby actually looks like sometimes.
Lizard-like?
All very, very pink and red and scrunched up and all of that. So it took her by surprise.
That's funny.
I mean, I think about it now, or even after that, and I was like, yeah, she reads a lot of looked at a lot of picture books, and babies are just
adorable.
So adorable.
Hey, you know what? That's how we all feel, to be honest. I mean, those babies are born, and we're like, ooh, it's cute. Right?
Yeah. Oh, it's the funniest thing, though.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Do you have anything else that you wanted to share about your experience?
No.
Okay. I'm done sharing too.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's over.
Spare the people.
It's over. All right. Well, finally, we just wanted to talk briefly about the miracle of birth.
Oh, yeah.
It is a miracle.
It is everything from conception, which that's too complicated to go into. That could be a whole nother topic, but it really is.
It is.
Oh, my goodness. To the process of the growing embryo to coming out of the canal to the natural course of things where the baby actually is doing the work, getting prepared. The baby knows instinctively, to get down in that birth canal. And we know that sometimes babies are breech or, but
I had done a little bit of research on YouTube. I like to listen to documentaries and things like that when I'm researching for the podcast. And I found this one where they followed like odd births, like weird kind of different. Oh yeah. I just got to tell you, this is what I wanted to tell you the other day, but I couldn't because I wanted to wait until we were on here. So you can go to Hawaii now. Like if you got pregnant now, first you'd have to spend 2 weeks like at the psychiatrist office.
How did that happen?
Right. But anybody right now can go to Hawaii and have a dolphin birth.
A what?
Dolphin. As in, Flipper, the dolphin.
Yeah.
Remember? Okay.
Well,
there's this woman in Hawaii, Kate, I think is her name, and she's got Kate's dolphin births. And she believes that if pregnant mom is in the water with dolphins and swimming with dolphins and stuff before the birth, that the dolphins can actually be a doula for her and help her give birth.
Oh.
Yeah. And she charges money for you to come and do this natural thing.
People will fall.
They're crazy.
For anything.
Okay. And so then this woman claims that when the baby is born with this dolphin doula and the baby knows how to speak dolphin because dolphins speak.
What?
Yes. So when the baby starts to coo and everything, it's like, like Flipper.
My goodness.
Crazy.
Because everybody wants their baby to talk whale or dolphin or whatever.
Not whale,
Well,
Cathrine.
dolphin. Well,
get it straight.
a porpoise fish.
Oh, it's hilarious. Okay, so that's one woman. Then there was a totally different woman who wanted to do this all natural thing. And part of the process was that you don't actually cut the cord when the baby's born. So you know how you have a baby.
Yeah.
And then there's a cord. And it's attached to the belly. That makes the belly button.
No longer
Everybody has one.
serves a purpose once the baby takes its first breath.
These people believe that you're supposed to naturally let it fall off and that you should never cut it.
So you're walking around with a hose between you and the baby?
Literally. Yes. And then, so you're caring for your infant baby and you're caring for the placenta attached to the baby with this long cord.
Oh, now, well, I'm confused because I thought if that placenta, you're carrying the placenta.
You carry it around with you, and then they give you seasoning. You put like salt on it and stuff because it's going to start to stink. It's rotting flesh.
Yeah.
The baby is alive.
Yeah.
The placenta is supposed to go night-night.
What's the purpose now?
It's just to be in tune with nature. And okay, so this couple that did it, they did this thing. The guy said, I'm drawing the line where it comes to eating the placenta. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good that you drew the line there. Because you'd probably for sure vomit if you ate that thing.
Well, not to mention get really sick.
That's what the vomiting is about. That the body's saying no.
Well, yes, part of it.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that there's some wackadoos.
We're sorry if you're do this. We just don't know. We just don't know.
You're crazy. Just flat out crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Who knew? Like, people are nuts.
I do think that mankind is always looking for something new and improved in their mind, or different.
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, because the guy who was like part of his job, mom is trying to take care of herself and the baby, but she's still got this thing attached to her, right? So the guy is saying all this stuff about, yeah, this is the best way to go, and it's all natural, and he says childbirth doesn't have to hurt.
Oh my! The guy said that.
The guy said that.
Oh,
yeah. I'm surprised that he's still like.
First of all, it's not natural. It's natural for it to be discarded after you have the baby, and it's natural for the umbilical cord to be cut. That's natural.
Yeah. I think that baby, when it's 20, is going to have detachment issues. Or whatever that thing is called.
I wonder then how long they recommend breastfeeding till they're
That was the end of
going off to college.
That was the end of the documentary there. okay, wait, one more and then I'm done. So there was a third like they followed these 3 couples, right? So the third couple, if that's not crazy enough.
Oh no.
The third couple was all into this, like, it was like a super spiritual experience. And it was almost like they had what do they call them?
Psychic?
Yeah, like a psychic, right?
Oh.
So this woman is their doula, and she's got all these weird ways of figuring stuff out. And so there are no scans involved. There's no ultrasound involved. There's no vitamins for, nutrition. None of that. There's no doctors.
Okay.
And they're going to do everything all natural, right? And so they have this way of taking a crystal and dangling it over the baby.
Oh, no.
To tell you how many babies you have in there. So she did it, and the crystal said, "You have 2 babies." Okay, so they're getting ready for twins. There weren't 2 babies. There was 1 baby. One baby. So that wasn't right. And then when mom went into labor, she was having a hard time. And they had to call the medical people in.
I'm sure.
So the lady with the crystals was no good to them at that point.
Right. Just so you folks know, a doula is helpful for just accompanying you through the pregnancy and then at delivery, but they're not qualified like a midwife or a doctor.
Yeah, and I suppose that obviously everybody can make their own decision and judgment on what's best for them, because we have to be all inclusive on everybody's thoughts and ideas. But you also have to take a look at common sense and the information that we have in front of us. Like, you have a hospital, like, across from every McDonald's is a hospital. If you close your eyes and go into a hospital and close your eyes and go into an ER, you're basically hearing the same sounds, beep, beep, beep. Right?
Yeah, right.
So anyway, blessings to everybody out there on your journey, if it's with the dolphins or with the crystals or, whatever you got to do. But you could also just call 911 see what happens.
Oh my goodness. Or just prepare.
Yeah.
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 Well, the Miracle of Life, there is a YouTube video that you could watch. It is miraculous. And it's called Miracle of Life. And I think it's put out by Nova. I'm not sure. But Nova also has one that's dated 1983 that you cannot view. They also have one, Life's Greatest Miracle, by Nova. And that's an hour long. I didn't see the whole thing. But what I did see is just absolutely incredible. That the camera is on the inside of the womb. And even during conception, I do not know how they did that.
I know. I can't get off of trying to figure that out.
I didn't want to go down another rabbit trail to Google that. But the Miracle of Life on the YouTube, September 22nd, 2014 is the one. Oh my goodness. It is incredible.
Did you hear what you just said?
No, what'd I say?
You called it the YouTube.
Oh, did I say the YouTube like an old person?
I say that too.
Oh, no.
It's on the YouTube.
It's like the jewel.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
We're going to put the link to the YouTube.
The link, yes.
We'll put it in the show notes. Lord help us.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Should we share some encouragement?
Let's do that.
Psalm 139. This is a familiar passage to many of us, and it's so comforting. It says this. It's Psalm 139, verses 13 through 16. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be.
And that's truth.
That is.
That is miraculous.
It is. So if you're listening to us on this podcast right now, that's you.
Your life is precious.
Very much
You
so.
are loved and known by God.
Mm-hmm. So here's our call to action. Stop for a minute and think about what a miracle your own life is. and offer up a prayer of gratitude to Almighty God, because all of this, all of what we've just talked about, that was you at one point. Every single one of us came into the world in the same way.
Yeah.
And so thank God. Thank him for your life. Thank him for your mother and your father. Thank him for the fact that you opened your eyes this morning and that you can take a breath. Just offer that prayer of gratitude to Almighty God. All right. Well, good job, Kat.
Yeah. Good job,
Fun
Trace.
episode, right?
Yes.
I told you we were experts at birth.
Oh, this is one of our longer episodes. Funny, too.
How long is it?
Well, so far, it's 50 minutes.
Ooh, we better hurry and get done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
we
this
were
is-
worried we wouldn't
oh.
have enough to say. But I told Cathrine, I said, just think about it. We've been pregnant many times. We got something to add to this conversation.
Well, that's just it, though. It was like, okay, which avenue do we want to go down here?
Yeah. Well, we hope this was helpful, information, entertaining, inspirational. Please share it with somebody that you know. I bet you everybody listening knows someone who's pregnant right now, right? Or more than one
Or was
someone.
born.
Well, yeah, true. Next week, we're going to do our episode on
Breast cancer awareness.
Not breast cancer.
I said breast.
Oh, I missed the R. It's breast cancer awareness. Gosh, I feel giddy for some reason.
I
All
do
this
too.
talk
I think
about
'cause
birth.
prior to this, I was kind of like, I don't want to exercise. I don't want to do anything.
And then we made some coffee, so that
Yeah.
helps. All right. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Cathrine.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.